It's possible to influence your body's hormone production using a very specific 15-minute routine. This explainer is going to break down the direct physiological link between your grip strength and your testosterone, and then detail a protocol engineered to optimize that connection. We can start with a really compelling piece of data. Men who can hang from a bar for over 60 seconds have testosterone levels 23% higher than men who can't even hold on for 30. Now, correlation that specific is almost never a coincidence. It points to a much deeper biological mechanism at work. So that leads us to the core question here. How can a simple mechanical action like gripping have such a direct effect on our body's primary androgen hormone? Well, the answer is found in a very powerful and direct neural pathway. We call this connection the grip-brain axis. You can think of it as a dedicated hotline, a direct neural circuit that connects the physical act of gripping in your hands straight to your body's hormonal command center, the hypothalamus. So, how does this hotline actually function? It's activated by something called mechanoreceptors. These are specialized sensory neurons that translate physical pressure into an electrical signal. And what's crucial here is that our hands contain the highest density of these receptors in the entire body. That makes them an incredibly potent interface for sending signals straight to the brain. The whole process unfolds in a very clear signaling cascade. First, a maximal contraction of your hand muscles lights up this dense network of mechanoreceptors. They, in turn, fire a direct and urgent signal to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus interprets this intense input as a demand for adaptation and then triggers the endocrine system to initiate testosterone production. The active dead hang is the foundational exercise for this entire system. Its primary purpose is to isolate the specific neural pathway. By forcing your grip to be the single point of failure, the exercise pushes the mechanoreceptors in your hands to their absolute maximum activation threshold. This sends the strongest possible signal up that hotline to the brain.
Two exercises really build this foundation. The dead hang is all about that pure neural signal and building raw grip endurance. Then, we complement that with the farmer's walk hold. This brings both hands into play, essentially doubling the signal, while also demanding full body stability. And that postural strength is key for improving circulation of the very hormones we're trying to produce.
So that initial neural signal from the grip, that's only the trigger. The next phase of the system is all about amplifying that trigger into a full body hormonal response. And to do that, we need to target specific tissues and create a very specific metabolic environment. This whole amplification process depends on what are known as androgen receptors. The best way to think of these are as docking stations for testosterone located inside your muscle cells. When testosterone docks, it signals that muscle to adapt and grow. The key here is that certain large muscle groups, your lats, chest, glutes, and quads, are absolutely packed with these docking stations, which makes them prime targets. To take advantage of this, we use specific upper body activators. The inverted row hold, for example, zeroes in on the androgen receptors in the lats. The static dip hold creates intense mechanical tension in the highly receptive chest and triceps muscles. By holding these isometric positions, we're putting these muscles under sustained contraction, which basically primes them to absorb and utilize the testosterone being released. The second amplification mechanism is what we call metabolic stress. See, during a sustained muscle contraction, blood flow gets restricted. This causes metabolic byproducts like lactate to build up inside the muscle. This accumulation acts as another powerful signal to the endocrine system, telling it to release anabolic hormones to manage that stress and begin recovery. And our full-body amplifiers are designed specifically to harness this principle. The horse stance and the wall sit create massive metabolic stress in the quadriceps. The glute bridge hold then targets the glutes, which are not only the body's largest muscle group, but also have the highest density of androgen receptors. This combination creates an incredibly potent, system-wide hormonal response. The protocol itself is the synthesis of these two systems. It systematically integrates that initial neural activation from your grip work with the systemic amplification from metabolic stress. The goal is to produce the maximal hormonal response possible. So this is the complete protocol. You can see it's a sequence of 7 isometric holds. Look at the structure. We start with the dead hang and farmer's walk to ignite that neural signal. Then we move to the upper body and full body amplifiers we just covered. Each hold is for a specific duration, and it's followed by a generous 90-second rest.
That rest period is critical. It's calibrated to let your muscles recover just enough while keeping your nervous system firing for the next signal. Now, you'll notice the total duration is about 15 minutes. This is not arbitrary. The timing is critical because research shows that testosterone production tends to peak within a 12 to 18-minute workout window. Anything shorter doesn't provide enough stimulus, but anything longer can start to elevate cortisol, which is a stress hormone that actually suppresses testosterone. To really understand how this system works, you need to look at the expected outcomes over time. Because the effects are cumulative, they absolutely depend on the consistency of the hormonal signaling you're creating.
The body's response to this protocol follows a very predictable timeline. In the very short term, you'll get acute spikes in testosterone about 24 to 48 hours after each session. Within the first week, many people report tangible benefits, things like better sleep quality and higher energy levels, but the systemic benefits, the peak hormonal optimization, that's typically realized after 4 to 6 weeks of consistent application. And that really brings us to the single most important principle of this entire system. When it comes to hormone optimization, the consistency of the signal is far more effective than the raw intensity of the effort. The goal here is not simply to exhaust your muscles. The goal is to create a precise, repeated signal, a clear and consistent communication with your body's endocrine system using these very specific neural and metabolic pathways.